a shade. Right? So you could do different kind of shade. So give me another gesture of shade. So remember one, the first one, do the first one. Do the second one. Second shade. Okay. All right, come up with two more. Come up with two more on your own. Shade. So you have one, two, a third shade. That'd be cool. Shade. Right. Three. All right. So you have one. Let me see one, two, three. All right. One more. Veronica, where's your 1, 2, and 3 look similar? All right. One more. So 1, 2, 3, 4. Again, 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay. So what we're going to do is we're going to go in and out of those positions. We're going to call those positions motif because each position gives us a sense of what your theme is, right? It's your own interpretation of the word shade. So you're going to do shade 1, and then you're going to count for 4, move to another person, do shade 2, move to another position, do shade 3, move to another position, do shade 4. No, not the music. That's my point. All right? No, I don't mind helping that. All right, ready? 5, 6, 7, 8, shade. And change. 5, 6, 7, 8, shade. Move to another position. 5, 6, 7, 8, shade. And 5, 6, 7, 8, shade. You're moving around the room. You can move in the position or you can move in between. It's your choice. Okay, so let's try it again from the beginning. 5, 6, 7, shade 1, 1. Now you're going to move. 5, 6, 7, 8, shade 2. 4, and 5, 6, 7, 8, shade 3. 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, shade 4. Okay, good. All right. Everybody who was in left wall in the last exercise, raise their hand. Left wall. Before the earthquake, what were you? All right. Everybody who's left wall, remain. Everybody else sit. Everybody who's left wall, remain. Everybody else sit. That's okay, but everybody gets to do it, don't worry. All right, so let's everybody observe do their dance of shade. Ready? So we need silence. Ready? 5, 6, 7. You're moving around in the space. 5, 6, 7, 8, shade. And move around the room. 5, 6, 7. Next group, shade 2. Wow. 5, 6, move around. 7, 8, shade. 5, 6, 7, 8, shade. Wow. Very good. Everybody who is right wall, come in. So, in this particular instance, you all are going to recognize, do the shade to somebody, okay, or with somebody. You're doing do the shade in relationship, looking at somebody, communicating with another dancer, right? Ready? So choose carefully. 5, 6, 7, 8, shade 1, 2, 3, 4, change, 5, new partner, 6, 7, 8, shade, 2, 3, 4, go, 5, 6, 7, 8, shade, 2, 3, 4, next, 5, 6, 7, 8, shade. Very good. Occupant. Occupants, all occupants. Now, it's groups of 3, so I should see at least the same number of people that was in for the other 2 groups. And if other people want to do it again because they had so much fun, they can. But it's an opportunity for you to not only participate, but observe, right? So again, to see what can happen. Okay, so this is a small group of occupants. Obviously, the island was so ravaged, but the occupants left. We. Pro shaders. So this time now, think of shading at different levels, physical levels. So level 1 is the ground, level 2 is a little higher, level 3, level 4, level 5, and if you want to shade on the roof. Yeah, you're shading with interacting with somebody. All right, Kanan, ready? I know you can shade, man. 5, 6, 7, shade 1, shade. 4, change, 5, 6, 7, shade 2, shade. And 5, 6, 7, 8, shade. And 5, 6, 7, 8, shade. All right. Wow, look at that position right there. So, what are your observations so far by just thinking of what we call a positional motif and seeing the people move through space? What are the ideas that came into your mind? Some different things. Let's say some of the things that came into your head from doing that. Shapes. What else? Angles. Usually at this time, people have terrific stories. Who they hate who and who they like who and who is giving who. No, nothing like that? Movement, dimensions. Sense of victims. So, emotional idea is coming out about victims, right? Remember some of the protection, right? So, over and under, the action of over and under, right? Forward and back. Anything else? Huh? Communication between bodies that you can't really shade by yourself, but you could. But it's good to shade in relation to other bodies. So bodies in space. So you begin to create patterns of movement. So sometimes when we think about ideas, some people like to go directly for the narrative, but sometimes for dance, you really have to think about how the body is being used in the narrative. And sometimes the narrative doesn't have to be a literal, once upon a time, there was a woman named, right? Sometimes, especially because we are accustomed to film, you can tell the story from the middle, reverse back to the beginning, shoot for the different episodes, right? And eventually get to the end. So, and in that sense, then we can create not only a narrative that is a narrative, but you can also use other stimulus for movement. So this is one of the things I want you to start thinking about when you think about creating movement, right?
Another important element there would have been the transitions. And we usually bit groups for bad transitions. We would have seen everybody walking. Right, so that's something else that you can also think about. Don't transition the music all the time, so no. Transitions, that's another thing to think about too when you're working with your choreography.
Thank you, Kimberly. So what we want you to engage in is a creative process, right? You prepare your idea, you think about your theme, you think about you do all the research about that particular interest, you think about what you want to portray, right? And then once you have the information, you allow your mind to be creative, right? Don't necessarily think logically, like I sometimes go sideways to get to the point. So allow your mind to think on the word, think of the different meanings of the word, like how we thought about shade, and see if you could come up with a fresh idea to portray, a fresh way to portray your idea, right? Which is pushing towards creativity. So once you have that preparation, at some point, an idea is going to flash. You can get a ping in your head. That's what we call the incubation, right? You go and ting, 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 you incubate, ting, 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 and then illumination, ping, a light bulb literally over your head. Gee, I got an idea, fellas. Let me go in the studio and let me see if we can, right? Do this thing. And then by trial and error, you do it, and then at some point you're going to show somebody, and the person can say it works or it doesn't work. This is the creative process that we do sometimes accidentally, right? But I want you to now be strategic in using this creative process. And for people who this is a new experience, this is probably one of the best ways for you to showcase yourself in this format, right? To really use your creativity to come up with a different way of doing something, right? So we were looking at this in terms of theme. So a theme is a subject for discussion. Some of you already have ideas of what you want to present in your dance, right? You've already sent me your titles. Some of you, I know sometimes at Dancefest, between prelims and zone finals, the idea and everything has changed, right? Challenges, but what we want you to do is to engage yourself in the creative idea. Think about your theme and really do your research and do your incubation so that you are beginning to experiment with your theme immediately and developing on that theme, right? So like I said, an idea, a motif, a composition, a piece of music for those of you who are inspired by music that really sets you in the mind for what your thing would be like. Okay? So immediately now, if you want to use shade, you feel free to use it. It's in the dictionary, it's not mine. Take it and run with it. But those are the ideas. So what we were engaging on in terms of what we just did was the idea of actually coming up with an idea around a word, right? The idea around a word. But there are also other ways of coming up with ideas. Sometimes we can use a word or a theme to come up with an idea, but sometimes you can get an idea from simply listening to sound, right? If you listen carefully, you will hear that buzzing sound. And for some of us, it's noise, right? But that could be inspiration for and all of a sudden it becomes part of your music, right? Because it is inspiring you to move, right? You can also be inspired by things visually. And this is where I'm going to allow Nadia, with her idea, to make her small presentation that she had prepared since this morning.
I know that I sure unfair me. Hello. All right, so I have, what's this? Cloth. I have. So we know the basic things these things are usually used for. So my challenge to, want some volunteers. At least 6 people, 'cause I don't like odd numbers. 8 people. I want, when these 8 people come together, I don't want So if y'all, I want 2 groups that forming, with each having 4. I want 8 people. I am only counting 6 people. Can I have 2 more persons? Some adults, Some adults, I need y'all to come because y'all gonna have to think. Come other adults. No, I mean they were just, right. Good, so that's 8 people. Form 2 groups. Yeah, I got 9, that's a odd number. So you're gonna put 10. Can't be with the odd numbers. Don't all rush. Good. So make sure you mix up the groups. Anyway, this is the task. Everybody good? Do not think ordinary. You can also utilize the persons in your group. So if you have to use the prop, you still got people standing, you can also find a way to use human beings also to be part of the story or become a prop. 30 seconds.
More seconds.
Time. Group number 8, letter A, letter B. Are you going with group B? Group B, I coming for one now. Group A, step aside. Group A, step aside. Group B, let's go. Group B. Ding, 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 ding. The bell has rung. Let's go. It doesn't have to be perfect. The audience and our judges, so y'all gonna be able to see if y'all see the story, okay? Group B, y'all ready? All right. Group A, let's go with y'all first. Group B, step aside a minute. Where's your audience? You gotta know who's your audience? Remember, Glenn would have told y'all in terms of staging. Right now, you have a stage that have audience on your right and audience on your left. Can't perform for one set of people and give them your back. So, so group A, let's go. All right, stop. Don't move. Come and stand up here. So, turn around, face your judges. Audience, who could tell me in an orderly fashion what was the storyline and explain?
Well, I ain't sure if they were town, but they went together, wherever they were. This was an old man on the street. This was either a nut seller or some woman that has a trade, and they stole her stuff. She caught the thieves.
Is that correct? Everything she said was correct. I saw injured. I just plastic bag. That was your hat. Oh, this your head tie was to tell the story of your character. Okay.
But the plastic bag, if you can add,
Correct.
plastic bag could have been used to put thing of it, put things, especially some
Okay. Was it effective? Were they effective? Okay. All right, come back, Cass. Somebody from this side, tell me the story that you saw. Timekeeper.
I saw a big red one.
A big right. Go. All right, Carrie, let me hear you. I getting some objections, so let me hear what you saw. But he had an objection too. Terrible. Hey, Toy, that's what it was? You were a mad woman? No. Was that impactful? That hey, Toy. That did not assist your story. How you had it told. Man, people don't usually be so coordinated. If you, no, it's serious. If you had that toy up a funny way and you was a real decent mad woman. Well, you will never go to the main tub. All right, this is my point. People usually use, you got cloth, first thing people can do is tie the head.
Thank you, Nadia. So the idea is not just to present the prop or the object in the way that we are accustomed to seeing it, but give the audience the opportunity to suspend their imagination and show them, transform the meaning of something, okay? Right, you getting it? That will push the creative element. So the example I give here is as a chair. A chair could mean a chair, it could be a bed, it could be a trap, it could be a throne, it could be an object to hide behind, it could be a door, it could be a well, it could be any number of things. Okay? So visual, the idea of using your visual is not to only present things the way we are supposed to see it, to reinforce, but also to transform. So that's the idea. So sometimes we can get creative off of movement itself, right? The way that cloth moves, the way that plastic moves, we can create movement based off of those things as well. Okay? And how things feel, right? How things feel. How crocus bag feels as opposed to how velvet feels. How a skirt, well, I don't wear a skirt, how a skirt feels moving, right? Y'all will have to tell me about that. But I could imagine how that would feel. And then, of course, the idea, which is what we are, the most popular way. Y'all come up with an idea, and then you all try to work ways of how to bring the idea to life, right? So there are very many ways of using stimulus. And of course, we did this earlier. A motif is the signature, the smallest movement phrase that you can use to actually represent your idea. And sometimes I find when we talk about motif, people like to come up with very long movement phrases. Like if I wanted to do a motif around coughing, all I have to go is go, and that's, and that is coughing. I don't know who's gonna hear me coughing for that, but some people, if I say one motif of coughing, is,
Yeah, a dancer call.
That is the whole dance, right? The smallest thing. If you look at the smallest movement, you can create a whole lot of things from that, right? You can use numbers, right? But if you already start with a big movement phrase, then you're not giving yourself a chance to really develop. So think about the very smallest thing that you can use that represents your basic idea, right? So think about that. And then think about the ways you can vary it. So I could cough. I could cough, I ain't ready yet. I could cough slowly. I could do it several times. And you can create a whole set of movements just by varying things like the repetition, varying the speed, fragmenting, cough with your foot, cough with your back, right? So that's the way you begin to really take it further. You know, what will happen if instead of saying hello, I go, hello, right? Or hello, right? How do you make it look different? How you get more creative, right? Really take it there. Down, 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 down. Right? And then the idea of developing that motif is to use those devices that Glenn talked about. Using canon, using repetition, using the relationships between two people, using mirroring, using those different devices to really develop those kind of actions. Change the dynamics, change the use of space. So instead of using a big space, use a smaller space. Use the front of the stage, face the back. All those different things can be used to develop those different devices. Okay? So, the difficulty that you're going to have as you get creative is to manage between how far you can take it and how it still maintains what your original meaning is. Right? You don't want it to be so out of the box that the audience and the judges don't remember what the original idea is. So you have to be subjective enough to take a look at it and say, okay, I took it too far, so maybe I don't have to do it all over the place, or maybe I don't have to do it with 50 people. I can just do that same idea with one person. So that is the balance you're going to have, right? You don't want it to become a cliche, right? You don't want the audience to be able to predict what you're going to be able to do next, right? So you want to be able to do that balance. Okay, so this one is, I'm agreeing with some of the things Glenn had said earlier, but I also want to challenge people to think about music for dance differently. Because for a lot of you, I think music comes first. What comes first, music or the idea? All right, so what's the second thing? I go find a piece of music to get my idea across. So a lot of people use music to create their dance. And sometimes what that does is that then you become a slave to the music, right? But sometimes there are different ways that we can use music. So in the first instance when we did Shade, what was very interesting to me is that we did not use, quote unquote, a song, but we were able to see a pattern of movement, we were able to see rhythm. So you were using rhythm and music through silence in a way that got the idea across without me having to find the right music, right? So I want you to think about silence as a tool to use. And think about it in the sense that if everybody in the competition is using music and you're using silence, the judges might remember the piece. You want them to remember in a good way though, just remember that. The other way is by using sound. So sound can be used in various different ways. You can verbalize sound, you can verbalize coughing, you can verbalize sounds, you can make words, and you can repeat certain words to make sound. You can make sound with your body, you can make sounds with your, right? And that could also create movement, right? If you see the steppers, for instance, they create music from using their feet and their hands and their voices. And that is a very effective way of creating a spectacle. It also gives your dancers the opportunity to really get emotionally involved and energetically involved in the piece. and might help with things like synchronization in a way that just moving to the music where everybody's hearing the music in their own way differently might not, right? So I want you to think about that. So there are many different relationships to how we use music itself. Like you said, I get the feeling that most of the people use the one at the bottom, where you start up with the idea, you may have a few steps, then you try to find a piece of music to match those ideas, and then you try to gel the two. But in a lot of instances, in my experience as a coach and also from observing Dancefest, music wins. Like whatever your idea is, it is always tend to fall in behind the music. So I want, as this last exercise, to really help you all look at how music can change the meaning of your dance. So go back into the groups of 3 that you had. Right, left, and occupant, or find a group of 3. All right, for this time, y'all could stay close to the people that y'all like. I don't know if it can help you all, but okay. So get into a group of 3. In this group of 3, you're going to create a movement sequence based on this theme. Shiva is asleep in the waters. Shiva wakes up and creates the world. Shiva is asleep in the waters. First sentence. Shiva wakes up and creates the world. Okay? See if you can create a movement sequence of that in silence. And then what we'll do is we'll see how music either enhances or distracts from that. Shiva is asleep in the waters. Shiva wakes up and creates the world. Shiva is a Hindu god. It's not that we're professing Hindu or anything like that. She's just a Hindu god. He's asleep. He gets up as the god of creation and he creates the world. Okay? Shiva. Right? You have 5 minutes to create your movement sequence in groups of 3. Mark, what happened? Shiva. Shiva. Or you want me to use a Bajan name? Barnabas. No, I can't use Barnabas. A man is asleep in the waters. Shiva gets up and creates the world. So 2 sentences, 2 movement sequences. Right? He's asleep in the water, and then he gets up and creates the world.